Welcome to On the Trails of Science, Tracks and Trajectories, where we explore journeys of curious minds venturing into the world of discovery, research, and the natural world. Today, we chat with someone whose experience spans both the depth of scientific exploration as well as the richness of cultural immersion. My guest for today is Lyle Usdin. Lyle is an alumnus of the Organization for Tropical Studies African Ecology and Conservation Program. He brings with him a wealth of experiences from his time studying in South Africa. With a background rooted in ecology and conservation, Lyle's journey reflects the power of stepping outside of one's comfort zone and immersing oneself in the unknown. Today's episode explore Lyle's motivations for joining the OTS, the cultural surprises that he encountered, and the unforgettable adventures that left a mark on his journey. We'll also hear about how these experiences have shaped his academic path and influenced his perspective on conservation and life. Join me on this trail of science and discovery as we together delve into the captivating world of Lyle Usdin. Lyle, you're welcome to the program, and it's really nice to have you today. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, and now we're good to go.
Right. Okay, let's start right from the beginning. What really inspired you to join the Organization for Tropical Studies African Ecology and Conservation Program?
So I guess from the get-go in college, I knew that I wanted to have an abroad experience. My parents got to go abroad when they went to college, and talking to other people, it seemed like a semester abroad had been really foundational experience for a lot of people that I knew. And so when I started looking at options, I found OTS as being a very different option than a lot of my other options. A lot of the other options involve directly enrolling in an institution abroad, living in an apartment with other students, and attending courses at that university. And unfortunately, from my perspective, I think that the study abroad experience has changed for a lot of students in that they enroll in, they go to somewhere in Europe and they enroll in a university, and then they end up living with other American students and sometimes even taking classes that are specifically designed for international students. And that wasn't the study abroad experience that I was looking for. So when I found OTS and realized that it was an option to be in the field, and learn and do work outside a lot of the time, that sounded pretty perfect to me. And also the thought of having a semester where I didn't have the typical college, 9 to 10:30 lecture, 2 hours off, another lecture. That was really exciting to me too. So at the end of the day, what really sold me on OTS was what set it apart really from my other options were the unique structure and the opportunity to do work outside. That was really exciting.
Fantastic. That's good to hear. Exciting. Now, I remember when you came on OTS, you had a T-shirt about Tyson Research Center on you. So that's sort of kind of give me the background of where you came from. Having that sort of background, how did you then decide to expand your research experience to South Africa? That's quite a very different ecosystem and landscape if you look at it.
The Tyson Research Center that you just mentioned is the biological field station of Washington University in St. Louis. And I've spent over 3 years working there now. The only break that I took from working there was when I was with you in South Africa. Mm-hmm. But it is where I really got my foot, dipped my foot in the water of ecology, specifically field ecology, and got really excited about it. And there I work in the lab of Dr. Jonathan Myers, who is a community ecologist. And he is my mentor. He's been my mentor. And he participated in an OTS program about 20 years ago in Costa Rica. And he was actually maybe the person who first put it on my radar. And in his lab is a graduate student, Anna Wassel. She is a fifth-year PhD student now. And 5 years ago, she did OTS in Costa Rica. And she secondarily vouched for it. So, in a sense, we've got kind of 3 generations of OTS students in my lab now. And I think all 3 of us, especially Jonathan and Anna, who have have progressed a bit further in their careers at this point would tell you that OTS was a foundational or pivotal moment for their careers, especially Jonathan. He still has collaborators that he met on his graduate course in Costa Rica. And I don't know, maybe it will be for me down the line, maybe not. I don't know yet, still to be determined. But for Anna
Mhm.
and Jonathan, who are both mentors of mine, it was for them. And that was a pretty good accolade for OTS. And I convinced me that it was worth me giving it a shot.
That's a very exciting story. Now, this again for the benefit of our listeners who perhaps are not aware, OTS as an organization have campuses or field stations in both South Africa and Costa Rica. So hearing Lyle mention Costa Rica, we do have OTS campuses there that run both undergraduate and postgraduate programs, which, like you've heard now, he's kind of like third generation OTS in his lab. That's really exciting. Perhaps you should think about hosting members of your lab on one of these podcasts so we just see what it feels like to have a lab that has all this generation of OTS alumni and how really the OTS experience, if it has changed over the years or if there's still going to be some overlaps from someone who did it 20 years ago versus 5 years and you that you've just done it this year. Perhaps we should have maybe started at that point, but now next question would perhaps I would allow you to mention which year you attended OTS South Africa and what semester, and you could just sort of pair that up with the next question, which is upon arriving in South Africa, what cultural aspects really surprised you the most? Because I'm sure coming from the US to South Africa, there would be quite a few cultural differences, but which one really surprised you the most and how did they shape your initial days in South Africa?
So I was in South Africa with you in the spring of 2023. I think that's right. Culturally, I feel like there wasn't an immediate culture shock upon arriving in South Africa, but it was more of something that played itself out over the entire semester for me. For one, I love telling people this. I would have never thought that South African culture and history would be the country that I was the second most familiar with in the world behind the United States.
Oh.
Um, and it's kind of crazy how that happened for me. And I didn't even realize it was happening. But I got back and I just realized I had such wealth of knowledge about this country on the other side of the world and, on the opposite hemisphere. What really surprised and impressed me culturally in South Africa was the diversity of kind of ethnic groups and ethnic traditions that we encountered in the different areas that we traveled to. I feel like in a lot of ways, my experience with culture in the United States is it's very globalized Western culture, and a lot of the people that I interact with, even when I travel around the country, have relatively similar cultural practices, and so getting to travel from we spent time in the Western Cape. Obviously, we were around Skakuza and KwaZulu Natal area, and then going up to the northern part of the park and meeting people from all sorts of different groups. That was really cool to realize that there could be such different heritage in such a small area. And that's not really something that I'd ever experienced before. So that's what I was really enthralled with culturally in South Africa.
That's interesting. Now you arrived from Washington University. That's your university here in the US, and you arrived with
Washington University in St. Louis. Don't get us confused with Washington State.
Washington University in St. Louis. Now, from that same university on your course, there were three other the students who attended the course. And I just chatted or I got a message from one of those today, Liam, who told me that a couple of days ago you had a dinner together with Liam and Lyle and Dave and Sam, which I found it was yeah, and just reminisce on your time on OTS. Now you arrived already with kind of a group of friends that you were familiar with from back in the US. And eventually, by the time that you were a few days in, and for the rest of the 100 days, you really integrated yourself with the whole group. And it was difficult to really tell who was from what university back in the US. So, starting from this group of Washington University and St. Louis students, how did you transition to integrating into this broader cohort of students? And what did you learn from that process?
So now might be a good time to mention that, originally when I wanted to come join OTS, I had planned on traveling to Costa Rica with OTS. Um, they were just getting things back going in Costa Rica after the pandemic.
Mhm.
Things didn't iron out exactly how they had planned, I guess. And so that semester got canceled, and it's up and running now, I think, smoothly. And we'll get back to that in a minute. Um, but they, Lawrence came back and said, I can't let you go to Costa Rica, but you can join me here in South Africa. And so I bring this up just to point out that originally I was planning on being the only student from St. Louis, or the only person that I knew, joining an OTS program, and throwing myself in with a cohort of unknown folks. And I was really excited about that. So I was actually originally a bit bummed that I was going to know 3 people already going into the program. And don't get me wrong, they're awesome people. They're some of my best friends, and
Mhm.
my bummer turned into excitement because I realized that I was going to have so much fun with them. But in a way, I think that knowing 3 people already was a bit of a setback for me. I feel like, when I first got to South Africa, I was in a bit of a different position than most of the other people in the program. And ultimately, I think it all worked out, and it just took a little bit longer, I feel like. So ultimately, I think it worked out pretty well. It just took me a little bit longer to get to know some of the people from other places, and I wish that had happened sooner for me, so I could have enjoyed them for more time. And it wasn't like I was not enjoying them for the first week or two, but for the first week or two, I had these friends that I already knew, and so
Mhm.
it was easy to hide behind them. But ultimately, I would have been super excited about, and am super excited about in the future. We'll talk about this in a minute, about an opportunity to join OTS as a individual and
Mhm.
meet new friends and make new connections. And it was something that I hadn't had the opportunity to do since starting college, really. I think that a lot of college students get really comfortable in their friend groups after freshman, maybe even sophomore fall. And so the opportunity to make new connections was really exciting.
Still on these memories of your time in South Africa, what's the most unexpected or funniest thing that ever happened to you in the field?
Huh. The most unexpected or funniest thing.
Yeah.
So we had a collection of fantastic game guards. Getting to know our game guards was so much fun. But
Uh-huh.
I'm trying to remember who it was, but we had Sam from St. Louis was making
Mhm.
a music video
Mhm.
towards the end of our semester, and she was getting clips of everyone in our program dancing in that music video. I still remember, Zing, you had some pretty great moves, but um, getting our game guards, who are protecting us from the elephants and whatever else we might encounter, to dance for Sam's music video in the field while they were holding their rifles was a pretty, iconic image for me. Definitely stuck in my head.
Right. Now, definitely that video, I was watching it a few
I think
days ago, and it definitely is perhaps one of my highlights of all
uh,
the years I've spent with OTS. Now, let's kind of shift gears. How did the academic setting in South Africa differ from Washington University in St. Louis? And what unique challenges or opportunities did you encounter?
so there are kind of two big things I want to touch on with this question. The
Mhm.
first is, and I say this kind of jokingly, it's so nice to have every aspect of your day planned out for you. In South Africa, I get to wake up and I have a delicious breakfast provided for me by my Jojo, Mary, and Raina, and then you and Liesel and Kim and Josie, we had our schedule planned out for us. So I kind of, in a sense, got to gave up some self autonomy to not have to stress about my day to day routine. And that was a really nice break from having to make my own schedule every day, and probably a break I will maybe never get again in my life. So I say that kind of jokingly, but on a more serious note, one of the things that I think was really valuable academically in South Africa with OTS that I didn't get prior is the opportunity to write collaboratively with other students. I think that a lot of the research that I see getting put out, it's typically, broad collaborations. For instance, Jonathan will publish with someone at UT Austin and UCSD, and he's never. This is my mentor. He's never writing papers alone. And up until OTS South Africa, I had really only written my own work and maybe had it reviewed by someone else, either a peer or an instructor. But the opportunity to actually sit down with my peers and make a product was a really cool new skill and something that I hadn't really experienced before. So that was maybe the most valuable academic practice that I got with OTS.
So I guess this would tie into specific skill sets or knowledge that you did acquire during the course. And I guess you would say you found this beneficial to your academic or personal life. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like at the end of the day, I think it's unlikely that like any of this really cool knowledge that I now have about specific South African ecosystems is going to be relevant to my future career. But a lot of the skills and practices and things I was able to practice, like collaboration and study design, that was another big one. I think those are the things that I'm taking with me after my time with OTS, and will be really important moving forward.
South Africa's biodiversity is renowned all over the world, and they have some incredible and breathtaking landscapes, which I'm sure you agree with me. How did your interaction with the natural landscapes and wildlife in South Africa influence your views on conservation?
First of all, I got to meet two totally new landscapes. I had never been in a savanna before. I had never heard of yeah, I don't think I'd ever heard of the fynbos. So getting to meet two landscapes was really special and kind of broadened, my understanding of the variety of natural systems that there are on the planet. I think that specifically the fynbos was really cool because it was a system that I was totally new to, and it has so many characteristics that are kind of unexpected. And so it was a really cool, diverse system to learn about, how disturbance can drive stability in an ecosystem. I guess I knew that I was going to get to see some big animals when I realized that I was going to South Africa. But even cooler than that to me, I think, was meeting the fan boss.
After immersing yourself in all this culture, what was it like returning to the US? Did you experience any reverse culture shock?
So for me, I jumped right back into field work when I got back to the United States at Tyson Research Center. We were counting trees, performing the third census of a forest geoplot. So I was leading a team of 6 students, and over the course of 10 weeks, we counted about 30,000 trees. We did a
Wow.
little bit more than just count, but so I kind of didn't really have this opportunity to dwell too much. I was super busy and super tired in the field. But
Mhm.
I think what I did feel coming back was there were certain things about being in the field that are really exciting in South Africa that aren't the case that you don't get here in the
Mhm.
States. And there are certain things about being in the field that are a drag in South Africa that you don't have to deal with here in the States. And the same goes the other way around. There are some things about that are like there are so many more ticks in my field site here in the States than I ever encountered in South Africa. And so I think really what I experienced going back into field work in the United States was an appreciation for some of the aspects that I liked both about my time in the field in South Africa, and some appreciation for the aspects of field work that I like here in the States, and also some relief about like, oh, like I'm done with dealing with having to have someone with a gun in front of me all the time. So I think that it just kind of broadened my like returning to the United States and immediately jumping into the forest here kind of broadened my understanding of the variety of things that you might encounter in the field.
And how has these experiences altered your outlook on life here in the US, and also how has it shaped, if it has, your future aspirations?
So I still don't know what I want to do, and I think that my time with OTS affirmed that this is the right field for me. But I am not sure if I want to go into academia. Probably not. I'm not. I think I might try and get a master's degree in the future and do some like government related or NGO type work. But I still don't know what I want to do. And OTS didn't solve that problem for me. But
Mhm.
OTS did affirm that this is the right field for me. And also, the other really cool thing about my time with OTS was I made these connections with people all around the United States and even globally, with people that are my cohort, going into the same field as me outside of my institution. Like I'm still in touch with a lot of the people. I'm still in touch with CC and Nora and others from my program, and so it's really cool to kind of have these people to like keep track of our like parallel career development. And like sometimes I'll like talk to one of them on the phone and I'll hear about like something that they're pursuing that I didn't even realize was an option. I think that that's one really valuable thing that I got in terms of developing my future aspirations from OTS is these other people that are kind of charting the same path as me at the same time, and it gives me like a bigger community of people to figure things out with.
Yes, I still have a couple of questions for you before we kind of wrap this session up. The first one is with regards to your advice for our prospective students who might be considering a semester abroad experience with OTS. What insights or advice would you offer to help to make them get the most of such an opportunity that OTS offers?
I mean, well, first of all, I'm one of OTS's biggest fans, probably. I think that this hasn't come up yet, so I'll take a quick moment to mention now. I am going with OTS to Costa Rica next semester, which I'm really excited about. I had such a great time in South Africa that I'm headed back. So that speaks for OTS in itself, but I can't vouch for OTS enough. I mean, really, what the advice that I would give prospective students is one, go for it, and two, just take advantage of the people that you will encounter that are OTS affiliated and OTS adjacent, like having conversations with the academics and the chefs. I had some of my most meaningful and memorable conversations with Majojo and Reina and Eric at Kakuza and the people that do maintenance around this field station, as well as the game guards, the people who are adjacent to, and the drivers that you meet when you're there. Just having conversations and getting to Shedron, the game guard, those experiences were invaluable for me. So go for it. Make connections with the OTS people and the OTS adjacent people. Don't stress about not having enough stuff. You're probably going to overpack. And yeah, if you have any other questions, please reach out to me. I'd be happy to talk to anyone and encourage them to spend a semester with OTS.
Thanks. What really has motivated you to pursue another OTS program, and what do you hope to gain from going to Costa Rica?
I think there are two big things here. One is I think that some of the skills that I was practicing with OTS in South Africa, I want to practice and continue practicing, specifically like collaborating with peers and study design. I think that those are two skills that I had an opportunity to practice in South Africa that I don't really get to work on too much here in St. Louis. And so part of my decision to go to Costa Rica was to keep those skills sharp as I figure out what I want to do after college. And another big motivator for me was I am practicing my Spanish, and I'm really excited about the immersive experience and to do a 2-week homestay in San Jose. I'm really excited about the experience to practice my Spanish. So yeah, I think those are the two big things. And reflecting on my experience in South Africa academically, it was as valuable, if not more valuable, than any single semester has been here at St. Louis. And I love WashU. I have no qualms with WashU. If I could start my undergraduate experience over again, maybe I would. I don't know. That's a tough question. But I loved WashU. But I realized that I was more excited about what I might be able to learn with OTS. And so I just decided to go for it. And I'm really excited about it.
Now I have a couple of fun questions for you. Safari or the beach?
Safari. I don't like sand.
Okay. Biltong or jerky?
Jerky.
No, I thought we won you. Well, a last one. Braai or barbecue?
Definitely braai.
Okay, at least that's a win for us. So I would take that.
I can't speak about all braai. I've really only had Majojo's braai. So Majojo's braai or barbecue, definitely Majojo's braai, but I don't know about other braai.
If you could have dinner with any scientist, dead or alive, who would you choose and why?
I think I might choose E.O. Wilson. He is one of the kind of founders of island biogeography theory. I'm sure you're well versed, but I just want to hear the story of how he was tenting and fumigating islands. It just sounds like a really complicated, exciting endeavor. And I just want to hear about the couple days that he was out tenting and fumigating islands. Which scientist would you get dinner with, Zingfa?
I think I would want to have a date with David Attenborough, who is still living, because I'm just fascinated about what he's put out there and the time it takes to capture some of these animals doing what they do in videos, and just the backstory behind what drives his passion and why he's still firing on many, many decades afterwards. I think I would definitely want to have a one-on-one with David Attenborough.
And he's got a great British accent, so.
What's the most adventurous food you've tried?
The most adventurous food I tried in South Africa? Well, there are two that tie. Either Mopani worms
Uh-huh.
or termites. Personally, I like the termites much better. I thought they had great flavor. They were a little sharp, but they were both good though. But they were pretty
Mhm.
adventurous for me.
And to wrap things up, can you describe what your perfect day off is?
I think a perfect day off, I would wake up and have breakfast, and then I would pack a lunch, and then I
Mhm.
would go on a hike, specifically somewhere where there's a swimming hole at the end, but preferably not the beach because I don't like sand. I'd rather go for a hike in the mountains to a swimming hole, and then hike home, be super tired, cook my own dinner, have a Carling Black Label, and call it a day.
On that really beautiful note, I would say thanks for coming through for us.
Thank you, Zingfa. It was a pleasure to talk to you too. And I can't wait to see you when I come to visit you or when you come to visit me.
Absolutely. I will be in St. Louis definitely at some point.
All right. Have a good afternoon.
If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe and share it with others who care about science, conservation, and the natural world, or with any prospective students who will benefit from the OTS experience. Do follow us on our social media. We're OTS Abroad on Instagram and Tropical Studies on Facebook. You can also send us an email at otsabroad64@gmail.com. Remember, each one of us has a part to play in preserving these incredible environments. If you're an OTS alum or you're part of the OTS family with stories to tell, we'd love to hear from you. Reach out and be part of the podcast. Until next time, keep exploring, and we'll see you back here on the Trail of Science, Tracks and Trajectories for more amazing OTS stories.